Hello, my name is Peter Phelps, Phelps 3D, and I am doing another tutorial on FreeCAD 016. In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss issues and problems you might have with Boolean operations. Boolean operations exist here in the part workbench. They're your union, your cut, your fusion, and your intersection. Now, I usually don't have too many problems with the intersection as far as something overlapping and getting what I wanted out of that. But there are problems when I try to fuse a part together or I try to cut them. Most typically these two up here that are gray right now. Now, most of the time the problems occur due to the circular nature of an object. Or sometimes even I can have failures of the cuts or the fusions when there's fillets involved, because they also have radius settings. That's why most of the time in the FreeCAD forums you'll find that they suggest you wait to the end of your design process to do the fillets or your chamfers. So that's a good suggestion. Most of the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cone and going to set this bottom part to 20, top part to 10, and the height to say 50. And then zoom all. And then I'm going to create some sphere and move this. I'm just using a scroll wheel. There. Now we're going to copy that. Control C, Control E. Make about 5. And move this one up. And up. And you double click, and you get that. You can always right click on the object and say finish editing. Okay, we're going to turn those into arrays. Go to the draft workbench. Turn that into a pour. And I'm going to say 12. Four. So 10 this time. Let's say 10 again. What I want to do in this one, I'm trying to actually make them overlap a little. Maybe I'll say 12. So that they're meeting each other. That may cause a problem. Six. So what I'm going to do is switch back over to part. I'm going to select everything. What I did is click the first one, hold shift and click the last. And then I'm going to fuse and this may take a little while, so I'm going to pause, let it do its thinking. Okay, so that is what you get when it fails. Parts disappear, things turn black. This would definitely not be 3D printable. Sometimes this only occurs because you selected so much that the program can't deal with it. Otherwise, it's issues with self-intersections and other type of mathematical, it's gone haywire type stuff. So what we can do is click on it, hit delete, what I do sometimes to get into this situation is I will take and try to do fusions separately. So this first array, we can try to fuse it and see what happens. And this also helps you diagnose where problems are, so it doesn't like that array. So you might have to change the positions, the sizes, something to actually make it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the array, and I'm just going to try to drop down the number first, down to 10 instead. Try that again. Now it worked that time. So breaking it up into parts can help you decide what part is the issue or the problem. I've seen people where they tried to cut holes into things and it won't work. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I don't know why it says those are not solid now. But that worked. Sometimes you want to check after you've done all the fusions to make sure everything's still there. Because sometimes I've had it where, like in this case, where it can make like the knobs disappear completely. And I'm going to say yes again. And see, that one broke. Now I expect that one to break because I made it so that the spheres were overlaying each other. So we'll delete that again, and I'll change these down to 8. And we'll try that again. I don't know what's non-solid now, but okay. That works. Okay. Okay, that one works. That one worked. Okay. And like I said, take and check to make sure that all your knobs are still there. I've had it where it's fused together and one or two knobs disappear or something else happen. Now that should be file save. And now the example. Yes, I'm going to overwrite the files that I already have. I've done this about 3 times. One time the recording didn't work at all. So, I'm going to click that. File. Export. And example. Make sure it's saved as type STL mesh. Save. Yeah, no, it's already there. And then I'll open that up in that Fab Basic. Check it. Oh, there's a problem. So we want to run our normal, try to fix it. Automatic repair, execute, apply repair, remove old part, and then part, export part, STO. Yeah, it's on those there. Alright. Okay, so that was an example of trying to use Fusion and having issues with it. And like I said, you can sometimes just change the dimensions of something or slightly move it and it might work. But when you're doing a whole lot of objects like this and you try to fuse it all together at once, it's a bad idea. It's better to break the fusions up and cascade it rather than do it all at once. The program has problems when you do it all at once. Now another issue we're going to show is with the cuts. In this case, I'm going to create a new file. I'm still in the part workbench. I'm going to create like 5 spheres. And then 1 cylinder. Now in this case, I'm going to move the cylinders down and out a little bit over. see the whole thing. I'm sort of staggering them like I did before, but now they're connected to each other. So these spheres overlap. Now I was saying earlier, oh, you don't want the spheres to overlap. Well, you can a little bit. If you get too many of them, the program might have a little problem. And I'm going to take this cylinder, I'm going to move it down so I can see it up the other side. Then I'm going to change the height until it comes all the way through the top one. And then I'm going to make it wider. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a fusion to the spheres. Oops. How did I move the view? Why did the view move? Oh. You hold shift and you drag along here, move the view around. That was what I was doing wrong. I was still holding the shift button. Okay. So select all the spheres, or fuse those together. That worked, okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to take those, I want to go into draft, I'm going to turn that into an array. Something happened here. I don't know what happened there. I'm going to switch to the okay. Fusion. Array. I'm going to say pour. And I'm going to do 3. Okay. Now you got a whole bunch of funky overlaying spheres. And we're going to switch to part. I'm going to click the array, then control and click cylinder and do a cut. Sorry, my mouse. I didn't think I needed the mouse. Sometimes I'm clicking it. Oh, that's not what you expected, is it? So we didn't get a hole through it. We just got So, yep, just a funny outline. Just gonna switch back to the view here, select the cut. We're gonna delete that. Now, if you want it to work, you have to remove the array. Click it and hit delete. Bring the fusion back up from being hidden. Take the fusion and the cylinder and cut it. Now you see that there's an actual hole in the object. So you've got the hole. Then you can take that, cut, go back over to the draft, create the array, change that to 4, 3, let's see that we still have the hole all the way through. If you don't like the grid, you can go to draft, utilities, toggle grid. Let's see. Lead holder. Call it. File export. Just make sure you still have the file saved as mesh. So yes. And then we can check that netfab basic. Part. And yeah, it's got a problem. I tend to always use the automatic first. No triangle, yay. It's probably for 3D printable. Support is STL. Module is repaired. And, well, click optimize, export. So, basically, you can try different types of things to do different things to get around the problems with the Booleans. Now, some situations are just always going to fail, but I found that if you adjust the positioning or change the size, you can sometimes get it to work when it fails. In this situation, it's it's just easier to cut the original object and then have it turned into the array than it is to try to get the cut to work in the other part. So thank you for watching, and I hope this helps some of you people out there, because I'm sure Booleans, okay, Boolean operations drive everybody nuts. Even people that are using Blender and other programs, when they don't work the way you want them to, it can just drive you crazy. But usually there's workarounds, and sometimes what I'll do if I've tried to fuse something together and it just won't fuse together, I will try to make a copy of the other object and make a cut into that object to get it to have the surface. So you cut one object from the other object, and then you can sometimes fuse those together. So you created a copy of it. Now I know this seems like having to create a whole lot of additional geometry into the file, but sometimes that's the only way to get it to work. And in some cases, if it will make the cut, but sometimes it still won't fuse, well, because those are now not overlaying each other, sometimes you can still output that as an STL file in 3D printer, because those two surfaces are no longer coming through each other, they're on top of each other. And so the STL export will consider that as still one part. It does the outer shell, the outer side of it, but rather than creating the subtraction that you would get if you were trying to print it on a MakerBot type 3D printer. So hope that helps too. Another tip. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.